Welcome back to Aspen Grove Adventures. My name is Michelle. I travel full-time in my fifth wheel travel trailer with my husband Matt and our two dogs. And we have to date done 4 RV trips to Disneyland in California. We went there twice in our old travel trailer, which was about 20 feet, and then we've been there twice in this new RV as well. We have been to 2 different RV parks in the area. We have reviews up for Orangeland RV Park. We also have a review up for Anaheim RV Park, which has unfortunately closed. It did not make it through COVID, and I think it's in the process of being turned into condos. So that's pretty sad. But with our RVing to Disneyland experience, I thought it was time to take what we've learned and kind of pass some tips on to you on how to RV to the California establishment of Disney.
Today and not tomorrow, there's no time to borrow. Today is a good day to live.
So if you have Googled RVing to Disney before, you probably have come across the amazing RV park in Florida on the Disney World property. There is Fort Wilderness, and we have not made it out there ourselves, but by all accounts, it is amazing. It is an amazing RV park out there, right there on the Disney property. In California, Disney is really limited by land at this point, and they just don't have the land for that kind of a thing. So there is no RV park run by the Disney company here over in California. That's not an option. It would be great if it was, but it isn't. So the first thing to know about RVing to California's Disneyland is that you are going to have to stay off property. There are currently 2 private off-property RV parks within 5 miles of the Disney parks. There used to be 3, but unfortunately one did not make it through COVID. We currently have a review of Orangeland RV Park up on our channel if you would like to go watch that. I will leave it linked down below and you can go check it out after this video. There is another RV park nearby Anaheim Harbor, and we have not been there yet, but we will eventually be going there, and when we do, we will film a review of it, and it also will be linked down below at a later date. So check that out, because if you're watching this a year from when I post it, there definitely might be a review for both RV parks in that area. There are a handful, maybe 2 or 3 other RV parks that, again, we have not visited yet. We will eventually, though, that are further out. So think within 20 miles of Disneyland. So I wouldn't necessarily want to stay there if I was coming for a week's vacation and we were going to be going into the parks back-to-back days for 3 or 4 days. They're a little far out for that. But if you are just coming to the LA region and you want to bring your RV and you're going to be doing multiple different activities, one of those RV parks might be a really good home base, and then 1 or 2 days you can drive to Anaheim and do the theme parks, and then different days you can go elsewhere in the region. So those are definitely options as well. So you have options. None of them are on property, but I think there's plenty of alternatives that will work for whatever kind of style trip that you are planning. If you are just coming through, like maybe you're just passing by and you're going to be leaving your house, or you're going to be leaving an RV park a couple miles away from Disney, not a couple miles, like a couple hours away from Disney, and your destination is a couple hours on the other side of Disney, and you're not sure about just staying one night or something, you do have the option, depending on the size of your rig, you'd want to call them. I don't know how big their RV parking goes, but there is on-site RV parking. It is not overnight. So if I would recommend this for if you have maybe a Class C or a Class B, maybe even a Class A. I'm not sure if I would bring a travel trailer, but you definitely could, I believe, if you just, I would call them ahead of time depending on how big your rig is. But if you want to drive a few miles or drive a few hours, park at Disney's parking lot in their RV parking and just do the day at Disney and then continue on your way in the evening. That is an option. We have not taken advantage of that option, but it is there and I just wanted you to know it. I think it would really be a really nice idea if you have, say, a van, like a converted van, because you could come back to your RV right there at the parking lot midday and take a nap or just relax and then go back into the parks in the evening. So that's definitely something that you can do if you're not interested in staying in the area for multiple nights. Once you've decided where you're staying, you're going to want to figure out how to get from your RV to Disney and then back again. And this is an area where you should be creative. Don't just think, oh, I'm going to drive. Like, because you definitely can do that. It's $30 a day to park in their parking garage. If you just want to leave your rig at the campground and then either take your towed or your tow vehicle, whichever kind you have, and just drive over to the parks. That's an option, but there are plenty of other options. And I know that some people have like big Class A's and don't have a towed. So now you're without a separate vehicle. There's plenty of options. So the Anaheim Harbor RV Park I have not stayed at, but they claim it's walking distance. They say it's a 15 to 25 minute walk. I don't know if I necessarily would want to walk it because you're going to want to save your feet for being in the parks. So you could walk it, or there's public transit right nearby, and then there's also Lyft or Uber. Same thing goes for Orangeland. Orangeland is walking distance to what they call Arctic, and it's the main Anaheim regional transit hub. And from there you can catch buses over to Disneyland. Right now, at the time of filming this video, it's a little bit of a cluster over there because of COVID and because of trying to keep people safe, but without like consistent rules. Yeah, it's just a bit of a mess. So call ahead of time. Definitely kind of look at your different options for that, because there are options. They're just a little bit confusing right now. But that's definitely a way that you could do it. But what I would really recommend for both of these close to Disney RV parks is your bike. The nice thing about bringing your RV with you is that you have the room to add bikes a lot of times, whether you have a rack on the back or you put your bikes into your rig when you travel. A lot of times by bringing your RV, you get to bring a bike. And both of these RV parks are less than 5 miles. Orangeland, which is the further away RV park, Matt and I rode our bikes back and forth many times, and it is great. There is no better parking at Disney than the bike racks. The bike racks will get you further up than the trams a lot of times to the gates of Disney. So I would really recommend riding your bike. It's really a convenient way to go about getting to and from these local nearby RV parks. If you're staying further out, like we mentioned earlier, you might just want to talk about driving, or at least driving part way. Maybe there's a park and ride part of the way, and then you can get out of your vehicle and either ride your bike the rest of the way or catch public transit. So yeah, you definitely get creative with your transportation ideas when you are RVing at Disney, because you have the flexibility to do so that you might not have if you had just brought, or if you were just staying in a hotel room. And then kind of my last tip or thing to think about when you are bringing your RV to Disneyland or to any theme park really, is to just keep in mind that you are bringing your home with you, or your second home with you, which means you have so many ways in which to make this a little bit more affordable. A Disney trip is not cheap, and it's only getting more expensive. They're only finding more ways to charge you more and for different things. And so say you want to try this new Genie Plus system, or you want to pay the $20 to ride the Star Wars ride, but that's just a little bit too much. You can save money elsewhere because you brought your RV that will allow you to splurge in the areas that you might want to splurge. Or it might even allow you to make this possible. Maybe you never thought you'd be able to afford a Disney trip, But because you already own an old RV and you can pay less for your housing, because these RV parks are oftentimes less than $100 a night, which you're not going to find for a hotel room, you can even afford the trip. So RVing is a really good way to get the cost down. And part of that is with food. So like you can have different foods at your RV, so you're not paying necessarily for Disney priced foods. And if you want to make it fun, I would recommend like those little like Disney shaped goldfish or like Mickey head shaped chicken nuggets. You can buy things at the grocery store that are Disney themed, so you feel like you're not missing out, especially if you have little kids who are like, well, I want the Mickey shaped waffles at Disneyland. You can be like, we're gonna have regular waffles here at home, but then for dinner we can have Mickey shaped chicken nuggets or something like that. So just kind of think about ways to use your kitchen to still have a Disney experience that will kind of keep prices a little bit down. I mean, I know Disney's not cheap, but if you're looking places to make it a little bit easier, that's definitely a way to do it. Disneyland also has a really nice picnic area outside of the theme parks, and there are lockers nearby. So if you have an ice chest, you can pack a lunch in your RV from your own stuff that you bought at a regular grocery store for regular prices, and then take it to the theme park with you for your day, which is really great because if you were staying in a hotel room, you might have a mini fridge, but you're probably not going to have a place to put ice blocks or anything like that, and you're not going to really have a place to prepare the food that you would back at your RV. So take advantage of the fact that you basically have a wonderful hotel suite with all the amenities, but it's yours and it's your RV and it's basically your house. So definitely you can save money that way, and then also make it a fun experience by making it like Disney themed where you can. So I hope this video really gave you some tips on how to bring your RV to Disneyland. It's not the same as RVing at Fort Wilderness on the Disney property in Florida, or at least as far as I know, as far as I understand, because I have not been out there. But it is definitely a different kind of beast, and there's a little bit more moving parts because you're not staying on property. But it is 100% possible. You can do it. I would really recommend you watch my review of the Orangeland RV Park if you are interested in staying there. And enjoy your trip to Disney. You can definitely do it in an RV, and I think that you guys will have a ton of fun if you do. And that is it for this video. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up. This is kind of my first foray into Disney YouTube. I know it's coming at it from the perspective of RV YouTube, which is what we do. But definitely give me a thumbs up if you like this video and if it was helpful. If you go to Disney in your RV, if you've already been to Disney with your RV, please tell me about your experience down below. I'd love to hear about it because that's kind of my thing. And if you want more RV content and a little bit more RV Disney content, be sure to subscribe, and we have new videos every Friday, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Today and not tomorrow.